Barretto, Perez, Ricciardo, Sainz? Who will get the nod to partner Verstappen at Red Bull next season? The anticipation is high as the Red Bull camp deliberates over who will secure the coveted spot alongside Max Verstappen for the upcoming season. Sergio Perez is making a compelling case for a contract extension into 2025, with his stellar performances securing him 3 second-place finishes in the last 4 races in Japan. But the field is wide open with several contenders vying for the position. So, what's the current situation and who will fill that seat next year? What lies ahead for Perez? Perez, who joined Red Bull in 2022, has a contract running until the end of the current campaign. He openly acknowledged the challenges he faced in 2023 while grappling with the RB19, managing only 2 wins compared to Verstappen's 19. Despite this, Perez clinched second place in the Drivers' Championship last year and entered the season with assurances from the team that he would be given every opportunity to earn a contract renewal. The 34-year-old driver seized the chance, finishing second behind Verstappen in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and most recently in Japan. In the latest race, he trailed his teammate by a mere 0.066s in the battle for pole position. So, is he a shoo-in for 2025? Well, there's no denying that this string of results has positioned him as the frontrunner to retain his seat for the next season. However, over the past 8 months, Red Bull has been weighing their options regarding potential replacements should Perez falter. It's standard practice for any team in a similar situation. Several sources indicate that when Red Bull recalled Daniel Ricciardo back into the fold, and subsequently placed him in the AlphaTauri team last year, it was with the intention of assessing him as a potential replacement for Perez. Ricciardo is a beloved figure within the Red Bull family, highly marketable, and demonstrated during a Pirelli tire test at Silverstone last year that with the right machinery and environment, he could potentially match his speed. Hence, they gave him a chance at AlphaTauri to prove his worth. His return was marred by an unfortunate crash requiring hand surgery, but they opted to retain him for this season to allow him the opportunity to showcase his capabilities. Is Ricciardo's poor form making the decision easier for them? Indeed, you're correct. This hasn't been the start to the season that Ricciardo envisioned. The Australian has struggled to find his rhythm with the RB and is being overshadowed by teammate Yuki Tsunoda. He's trailing 4-0 in direct qualifying matchups and has failed to score points in the first 4 races, while Tsunoda has scored twice in as many races. This form was brought to Red Bull team principal Christian Horner's attention on Sunday after the Japanese Grand Prix, where Ricciardo retired on the first lap, to which he responded, "Daniel is a grown man. He's been around, he knows how things work. He just needs to get a good result under his belt and the smile will be back." His teammate is delivering, and naturally that puts pressure on you, but he's been there before and I'm sure he'll bounce back. Is Horner concerned about Ricciardo? "It's the 4th race," he replied impassively. Certainly, Ricciardo isn't doing himself any favors at the moment, and it's not ideal for him that his poor form is coinciding with Perez and Tsunoda shining. But even though Red Bull is notorious for its lack of patience, giving up on a proven driver with a dedicated history and whom they've invested considerable time in rebuilding so soon is unlikely, even for them. Okay, so who do they want in the seat? There's never a definitive answer to that until the ink is on the paper. There's a good chance they don't even know now with no clear frontrunner. Driver market decision-making is never black and white. Team principals are human. They can change their minds, react to changing circumstances, or stand firm. A driver who may be at the top of a list one day may not be the next week. Or a new driver may enter their thinking, like Carlos Sainz. "Oh, so he's in the mix now?" Several sources indicate that Red Bull has been in talks with Team Sainz about a return to the Red Bull family he left during the 2017 season to join Renault. The Spaniard is in the form of his life. He has finished on the podium in every race he started this year, including a brilliant win in Australia. And he's the only driver to deny Red Bull a victory since George Russell won in Brazil in 2022 for Mercedes. He's definitely under consideration, but Red Bull has yet to decide if pairing him with Verstappen again, they were teammates in their respective debut seasons in 2015, is a good idea. And Tsunoda? He's in great form too. You're right, he's standing out at RB right now. His charge to 7th place in Australia was sensational, as was how he absorbed the pressure from a nation to score a point at his home race last time out in Japan. But sources say, at least for now, he's not on the list as a potential candidate for the second seat at Red Bull. I understand it's more likely he's doing enough to keep his RB seat next year. Okay, so what's the situation? As it stands, Horner insists Checo has the priority. And sources say he's earned considerable praise within the team for the way he's approached the start of this year, which, in turn, has pushed him up in Red Bull's considerations. However, while sources admit Ricciardo's star has dimmed somewhat at Red Bull, they're not ruling him out yet. And Sainz remains in the mix, while Fernando Alonso, of course, is no longer a contender, having signed a new contract with Aston Martin. Is Verstappen staying put? We know he's contracted until the end of 2028, but there's been so much talk he could leave earlier that chatter has started to die down recently, with a growing sense he'll stay put. What he does is, of course, a key factor in deciding who fills the other seat. If Verstappen were to leave, Red Bull would have to completely rethink their lineup. For now, though, they're operating on the basis he'll remain in the short term. His contract runs until the end of 2028, at least. And the RB seats? There's no rush to decide on that. It's unlikely Red Bull, along with Red Bull CEO Peter Bayer and team principal Laurent Mekies, will make a call before the summer. If Ricciardo were to miss out on a Red Bull seat, it'll be between him, Tsunoda, and reserve Liam Lawson. Red Bull is believed to be keen on giving Lawson a shot in 2025, following his impressive performances standing in for Ricciardo last year, which means there could be a shootout between Tsunoda and Ricciardo.